Well, hello Flosstube and all my Stitchy friends. I'm Shellie Fry and this is Antique Needleworkers. This is a channel about cross stitch and all my crafty endeavors, and I'm so glad that you have joined me today. Well, welcome to 2024. This is the very first video of the new year for Antique Needleworkers, and where did that year go? Today is not only the first video of the new year, it is also my 1-year Flosstube anniversary. So we have been together a whole calendar year as of today exactly. So man, that flew by, didn't it? It's been such a wonderful year to get to know so many of you, and I have so enjoyed communicating back and forth with our community, and I just have loved every minute of it. And I thank you so much for all your support and your love that you've sent my way. So we're in the new year, and what have I been doing since I saw you last? Well, on New Year's Eve, I was one of the guests on New Year's Eve 12 by 12 with Kia B, and that was so much fun. I absolutely love Kia. One of my favorite parts of what Kia does is she is such a community builder, and you know, that's my heart too. I love our community as much as I love our stitching, and so I love that. I love that she's interactive and she brings you into the story, into the action with all of it, and it was so much fun. And so so on New Year's Eve I was on for 12 by 12. I had 12 things completely kitted up, and I stitched on one. Oh, it was a long day, and I did the 12 by 12. I set my alarms to see the other, at 4 o'clock there was Alicia, the Fanciful Flamingo, and Jessica Sweetwater Stitcher at 4 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock, all of our favorite cousins, the Floss Boss and cousins, were on. And then at 11:30, Kia got back on. So I set alarms for myself to watch that. And I did that. I did do just a little bit of stitching on one of my 12 items. It's my party, I can stitch how I want to. Yeah, I had to get things together. The grandkids and some of the children came over, and we had chicken wings and all the things, and had just a good time with our children. And so yeah, I stitched a little bit, but yeah, my intentions were great. So I did that as well. The first newsletter of the year for the Queen City Sampler Guild, they had asked me to write an article, so I wrote an article that got published in our newsletter, and that went out. And New Year's Day, I had a little accident here on the property. New Year's Day evening, it was getting dark, and I had drug the garbage cans all the way to the end of the driveway, and it was really super cold. And so as many of you know from me talking on Flosstube, and also showing them on Instagram, we have a large pond and we have a herd of ducks down there, and they're just nature's creatures. You know, you can put an enclosure for them, and that doesn't mean that they're going to go in it. So anyway, but I was trying to convince them that, you know, maybe they wanted to stay a little warmer than hanging out on the edge of the pond. So I went down to fix the hay bales to the entrance to this this little duck closure that we had, and I went at the end of our pond. We have this bridge, and it's just a small curved bridge that goes over the tributary that flows into the end of our pond. And I slipped, and I went up in the air and came down on the middle of my back, and my head bounced twice off of the bridge. I kind of think I might have passed out because I was so dazed. I couldn't figure out what happened, and I was like, oh dang, I'm on the ground, I fell. But I took all the weight in the middle of my back. So I had whiplash. I still have whiplash on the front of my neck and the back of my neck, and I messed up my back. And so had to get those scans and x-rays and all the above. Don't have a fracture. They were a little bit worried I might have a fracture in my neck or my back, but I don't. I'm good. And so I've been going to the chiropractor and getting acupuncture on a regular basis since that day, feeling much, much better, can move my neck better than I did. I couldn't move my head. And of course, the only thing I'm having a little trouble with is I can't lift things up. I can't like pick things up and put it up on a shelf. And so, or pick up heavy things yet. So anyway, my house is still fully decorated. By now I would have everything cleaned up and taken down from the mill. And so my husband said, we're just gonna have extended Christmas festivities. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm so glad that he's okay with that, but it's still really Christmas pretty around here, but I kind of am ready to take it down. So hopefully maybe in the next week, that will be something I could do. I wouldn't be able to hold my hands up right now too long to take down things off of the tree. So yeah, so anyway, note to self, falling at middle age, not so good. So, but anyway, I'm okay and I'm doing good. But I thought by now I had planned on doing the cross stitch lollipop tutorial, and that kind of diminished that. So it's coming, but yeah, my little accident kind of slowed down a few things. So, but I'll get to that, and I know that you'll wait and be patient with me. So I'm having to use my fanny stand, my Harwick Manor fanny stand, to stitch because you know, holding the arms up kind of thing. But that has the stick hoops on it, so like I can telescope it really, really high, so I can just be like this, and it sits down between my legs. So I'm kind of glad I have a lot of equipment. That's been really helpful. So that fanny stand has been nice because it just can raise up really high. So anyway, enough of that. So that came about, and just getting back to normal after all the holidays. And so I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season. I hope you had a lovely and happy new year. And yeah, so those are some of the things I've been doing. This last Monday, one more thing I did do was, it's my friend Sylvia from Running with Needles and Scissors. We had, you know, we love to celebrate each other's birthdays, and she was in Germany visiting her father when her big 60th birthday came, and so we missed that. And of course, she's a regular lunch date friend, just love her to death. And so we planned on having lunch, and we just had lunch on Monday together. And this week is the week for Stitch Away. I'm not there, but she's there. But her very good friend Lisa Duffin, who is Lady Huzzah Presents, who I absolutely love. You need to go catch her Flosstube. She was coming into town to go to Stitch Away with Sylvia, and so she's like, I really want to meet Shellie. And so we had lunch. It was Lisa, it was Sylvia, and then our dear friend Diane Hermes, who is the model stitcher for Sylvia. Those are my regular lunch dates. And so we had the most wonderful lunch. And while I was there, I want to show you, I had some kindnesses brought to me. Back when it was my birthday, Diane, who, you know, I've said here openly, when I grow up, I want to be Diane as a stitcher. But she had, on my birthday, brought me this beautiful card, and she said something, and you know, I heard it in passing. I wasn't paying a lot of attention. Not that I wasn't paying attention, but she said, oh, here's your card. And I opened my card, and I was so appreciative for it. And she said something, she mumbled something about, yeah, well, I have something, but I'm not done with it. But she didn't make too big of a deal of it. Well, it was a ginormous deal, because at lunch she had this big bag, and she says, oh, well, here's your happy birthday. I was like, wait a minute, what? And she said, yes, I finished it. Friends, wait till you see what the fabulous, most amazing stitcher Diane made for me for my birthday. She stitched this for me. She framed this herself. I love what it says. It says, peace to my friend. And in the cartouche, she put her initials. But is that not amazing? I believe this is on 46 count, maybe 56, but I'm pretty sure that it's 46. Isn't that the most, are friends not the most beautiful things in the world? I mean, seriously. I mean, who does that? What a beautiful gift. Thank you, Diane. I know I told you that in person, and I told her, I said, this is just, I can't tell you how much I'm going to treasure this. It was so kind of her. And so, yeah, Christmas, New Year's, and got another birthday gift. So, oh, it's so beautiful. Blue, Quakers, the whole works. Friends, gotta love that. So, that was a real sweet kindness that I got while I was there. And then as well, of all things, Miss Lady Huzzah, Lisa Duffin, she said, oh, Shellie, I brought you a gift. I was just thinking of you. And I was like, you were thinking of me? And she said, yeah, I just wanted to do something special for you. So she made a stitcher's case for me. I mean, seriously, I admire her. I look up to her as a stitcher. I hadn't met her in person, and then here she comes. And look at all of this goodness. Now let me go through this a little bit. Now we discussed how much we loved to wax and condition our threads. Antique buttons and then beeswax. How neat is that? As well, some antique buttons in a little glass jar. Who doesn't always need antique buttons? A tiny tomato. Gotta love that. Then a folding pair of scissors, which is perfect, airplane correct. You could get by with these. And they're good and sharp. But, you know, we're all the queen of the needle, so she put a crown on there. How neat was that? It's just so many details, so many thoughtful, wonderful things. She made a little needle bling, or a little thread drop holder. And look at this. Even she put some needles here, but look, she even took the time to put it on neat cardstock. This is one of my favorite quilting threaders. They call it the Bluebird. And I was like, you know, I hadn't thought to use those in my stitching. Just a beautiful little case. I thought that was so tremendously thoughtful. Then she made me some counting pens. As well, she brought me this little, I think it's like a candle holder, but she said it makes just for the perfect for a drum. And I have some drums in my future. So, wow, Lisa, thank you so much, friend. It is so sweet of you that you had done that. It wasn't that kind of her, friends. And I just love to now have a new friend in my life. She was precious, and we had messaged a little bit, and she said, I had so many questions, and I could have sat with you. I said, I could have sat with you all day and talked to you. So she's an amazing sampler stitcher. Again, her Flosstube is Lady Huzzah Presents. Go do check that out. She is wonderful, and she is sweet as a peach in person. So hopefully if you ever catch her at a retreat, sit down and catch a minute with her. Then as well, I went to the post office box since I saw you last, and so many kind cards. This one actually came from Grace Cookson, who is Missy Timberlake from Two Needles Point Thread. She sent a Christmas card, thank you card. I had made some handmade items for when Ellie, Missy's granddaughter, arrived, and so thank you so much, Grace. That was so kind of you and thoughtful. And then I received some Christmas cards. One was from Terry Johnson. I got your card, Terry. from Nancy Harbath. Thank you, Nancy. I got your card. Kathy Kundle. Thanks, Kathy. That was so sweet of you to send me a piece of sweet mail. Nancy Suma, I got your card. Thank you so much. Connie Dahlgren, I got your card. And then Teresa Potter, thank you so much, friends, for sending me such cheer. I loved it, and there's nothing like Stitchy, friends, I'll tell you that. I mean that seriously. And so then, let's see, those are all my life updates that is catching up with you. Those are my kindnesses that have been passed along now. Yeah, so that's a great way to start the video. So the next thing that I want to do is let me tell you who are the winners for the giveaway from last video. On last video, I showed this little card from Birgit from the Wishing Thorn that has a little pattern on the back. The person who gets this is Linda Lee 8040. Linda Lee 8040. Please check my my email address below in the description box, and please send me your address and tell me that you won the small little chart. You are the winner. Congratulations. As well, Annie the Proper Stitcher, and she's just so precious, isn't Annie precious? She has given one viewer the choice of one chart of any chart of hers in her Etsy shop, and the call word for that was proper, and the winner of that is Ginger Giant 817. Ginger Giant 817. Please email me, and congratulations. Then I have a $25 gift card to Keepsakes for one of you. And the winner of that is Janetta with an A, Janetta Derringer 5625. Janetta Derringer 5625. You won the gift card for Keepsakes. Give me an email, tell me what you've won, and I'll get that right to you. And then the last thing was, I don't want to take it out of the bag, but it's not the last thing. There's two more things. This is a knitting project bag in here. I want to keep it wrapped for you. But anyway, it was from the Knitted Soiree, and the winner of that is Karen Robinson 921. Karen Robinson 921, you have won the project knitted bag from the Knitted Soiree. And then my sweet friend Denise from Goose Designs, she sent this beautiful project bag. I love it. It's got the little squirrels on it. And the winner of the Goose bag is Pamela Cox 7535. Pamela Cox 7535. You've won that. Please give me an email, and congratulations to all of you, the winners. That was so fun. I just love it when I can give you guys something fun. So let's see. All right, now let's move on, and we will look at some finishes. Okay. Well, my first fully finished item, I had shown you just shortly ago that I had finished one of my oldest whips, which was Stitcher's Resolution from Heartstring Samplery. Well, I got it back from the framer. And I think they did a beautiful, beautiful job. Even with museum glass, you can still see that ring a little bit if I don't hold it right. So I was really, really pleased. One of the things that I did this time that I haven't done before was, when you have a straight border like this, pinning can be tricky. And so one of the things that I had heard from another stitcher was try, if you are going to have something that has an absolutely straight border, to get it as close to the frame as possible. And so I am very pleased with how this turned out, and I had them put it within a 1/4 inch of the frame, and if there's any skewing in that straight line, well, guess what? You're really not going to notice it because it's pretty close in there. And I think I'm going to practice that in the future. That is not something that I had done in the past. I would leave a pretty, I can't remember if it's half an inch or no, I think I left more like an inch around. And so then you would take a quarter of an inch or more, you know, when they're pinning and all the above. And so, but it just the way that I can see, you know, we're all kind of picky. And that's okay, because we got hundreds of hours in this stuff. And if it's not like really straight, no one else notices it, but I notice it. And so I love that little tidbit of advice. And so I think that's something I'm going to practice. Trying to get it a little, something with a very straight border like that, getting it really close to the frame, and then I won't sit and fret over it. And that was stitched on doubloon, 28 count doubloon, and I actually stitched that with one thread over two linen threads, and I think it looks so antique. See, you know what? You don't always have to stitch two threads over two. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But you know, we know I'm an old soul, and that is one thread over two linen threads on 28 count. I think it looks pretty nifty. So anyway, if you ever wondered that or you were curious. Okay, and the next thing that I stitched, I did finish the little freebie off of the back of the Burgette from the Wishing Thorn. I stitched this. This is 32 count. I've got a red thread because I have two things on here. This is on 32 count cream Irish linen, and I used Jenny Thompson flower threads. They were sent to me as a gift from Burgette, and I absolutely love this. And I actually think that I would like to frame it in a little frame. I think I'm going to frame it myself and then hang it like in the living room. I just added some more samplers to one of the walls, and there's like this little bit of space like in different areas, and I was like, I could just stick that right there in a tiny little frame. Wouldn't that, I just think it would look really, really neat. And it turned out beautiful, and I adore the Jenny Thompson flower threads, and so I enjoyed that so much. And I told you on the last video the numbers for those that Burgette had curated. And then I had one more finish. I'm going to talk in a few minutes about my plans for the year, and they really encompass around kindness. And if you didn't see the 12 by 12 interview, it's on Kia Bees, and I talked about it there, but I'm going to talk about it here today. And so I have a stack of things that refer to kindness in it. And so I started this since January 1 and finished it. It is my first kindness finish of the year, and it is Kind Words from Not Forgotten Farms. And it's simple, but I think that its message is very poignant. I stitched this on 56 count Cafe au Lait Kingston linen, and I stitched it with Soie Surfine. And the number for this is $24.99. And this is my finish. And I actually, I'm going to check with Daylene from So Grateful on Flosstube. She does all of her framing pretty much herself, and she orders frames, and I have the idea that I want to try to order something, because it's going to be an odd size. This is about 1¼ inches high by 4½ inches long. And so I really want it to be framed as opposed to doing a flat fold or something of that nature. I want it to have, I want to do the same thing that I'm going to do with this, I want to intermingle that little frame somewhere amongst the samplers, because I'm going to just deluge the house with kindness. And so kind words, kind thoughts, kind Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, I'm very pleased with it. And I loved this 56 count. I got it from Colorado Cross Stitcher. And yeah, look, this was my piece of linen. Yeah, that you can really get, you know, a whole lot done. Even though that was small, you know, you could put a whole lot on this piece. So yes, I'm going to carve that off of there as soon as I get my my framing situation in check as to how I'm going to do it. So those are all of my finish and fully finishes. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to show you is I could have had a finish on one other thing, but I don't even know how one does this. But I lost my darn chart. I don't know what happened, whether, you know, I had this next project out here. I don't know if when I was organizing over on my cutting table, if perhaps I threw it in the garbage or something, but I was down to the very end, only having to do the words, what little words on this, boom, gone. And what am I talking about? Violet's Blue by Blackbird Designs. I had to order another chart. And so the next time you see me, this will be finished. Because all I have to do is this little tiny verse and put my husband's initials, my initials, and I'm actually going to put the year we started dating in 1984 when I was 15 years old. So I'm going to put it on there and I'll read the verse to you. I love it. It says, "As the violets blue, my heart's true, dear sweetheart." And then under the house it says, "I love but you." And so I want to put the year that we started dating, when we were just kids in high school. And so you're going to see the whole darn thing's done. It's all done. All I have to do is put that little verse there, and then below the house put the little verse, and then over to the side and to the side put our initials and the date. So this, I was so disappointed. This was almost a finish. And this is on 32 count platinum. And it's 2 threads over 2, and all the called for colors. Everything's all called for colors except for the linen. The linen is platinum. And so that is Violet's Blue by Blackbird Design. You know, you'd have to be like really disappointed. I was like, I went to go put the verse on because I was so excited because I thought, oh, that's a nice, good, big finish. No, it's not. Because I just got the chart like a day and a half ago because I think it's in a dumpster someplace. I don't know what I did. Oh my goodness. Who does that? I know I'm not the only one. If you've ever lost or put it in the comments. So, okay, so let's move into my whips. You know what I haven't done? I didn't show you my cross stitch planner. And I am in love with this cross stitch planner. This was the cross stitch planner put together by My Crazy Life, Lori Sykes. She's got, you can get this at Colorado Cross Stitcher, you could get it at Evertotes, and you can get it at My Crazy Life on Etsy. But this planner, I'm going to tell you something. I talked about this. It's full of charts, first of all. Hello. So you get a planner and a bunch of charts. But at the end, there's also a place to do some charting. And then there's a whole section called Retreats. And in here, there's pages, and it says packing, shopping, vendors, wish lists, pre-order, kits, the name of the retreat, the date, the location, on sale, the wait list, departure, returning, transit, parking. If there's a bit of information, it's here. Then it talks about what you did on retreat week. Then there's a whole section for you to put Stitchy kindnesses, smalls exchanges, table mate gifts, then a place to put your friends' names and their vital information and gifts, etc. A page in the neighborhood, restaurants, attractions, shops, plans. This is the best planner I have ever seen ever. I'm going to show you how I have it filled out thus far for January. I chose stickers that were a winter theme, so there is an elk And this is a fox and a little, an owl. And then up here I put this because that's where my heifer board, which we'll talk about in a minute, numbers that were called were pulled. And then over to the side I put my 2 finishes that I had, my finishes. And so I love this. The only thing that would, this thing is absolutely perfect, but let me just say, the only thing that would have made it even more perfect was a pocket. And so I wanted a pocket because I wanted to stick my heifer board in there, my piece of paper. This was an extra sticker that didn't fit, and then my pens. So let's see if I can't show you this up close. There, you can see it there. This is some template plastic that I had from to make quilting templates. And what I did was I cut it to fit, and then I sewed it onto the cover. Just like you see a lot of these things, you can see my seam right there. Yeah, I just sewed it on there. And then I'm going to do this before I see you again, but on the back cover, I figured not everybody might have that. So I'm going to take a piece of material and fold it over so it doesn't have a raw edge, but then I'm going to sew it onto the back and have a material pocket. So I'll keep you updated with that. But isn't that a good idea? You got your little pocket, put your pens, put your stuff, put your junk. You could stick some stickers in there, something like that. So cool. Love this planner. I should have showed you that a minute ago. Okay, now onward. Let's talk about in my carry keeper. This is the one of my my 12 by 12s that I started. It's called Keep Kind Thoughts. And it is by Needle Made Designs. Love, love, love that. It's also housed with another one, and it's Speak Kind Words. Didn't get anything done on that, but it's all kitted up in here. The threads are the same, and I have a piece of 40 count fabric in here that will hold both of them. And to be honest with you, here's what I got done. I got this done, and you can't see this ghosty, but the part of this flower here, I started on that, and you really can't see it. I've got a hanging thread, so maybe you can see. But I mean, I got a few things done, and I just abandoned it, to be quite frank with you, using the called for colors. This is 40 count Vintage Country Mocha, 1 thread over 2, and it's a itsy bitsy start, but I started one of those 12 by 12s. So that was a start. And as I said, it's called Keep Kind Thoughts. And there's plenty of room to do Keep Kind Thoughts on this side. And then over here, I'll put Speak Kind Words over there. And again, these will be little samplers, like little sampler type things. And my idea is to frame them little and put them amongst my samplers. I've kind of got a thing for that. I think that would be really neat, don't you? Used all the called for threads. Okay, that was another one of my whips. Then my sweet friend Beth, the Red Cross Stitcher, she had said that she was going to start Dwelling Place, and by Teresa Kogut. And I happen to have had it all kitted up. Didn't get a whole lot done, being real honest with you. Let me pull out my Project Keeper card. It's on 40 count, One More Reproduction by Bestitch Me. All the called for colors, but I started the top corner. I got a few things in. I put a lot of attention into some other things, but at least I dropped some stitches to stitch with my sweet friend Beth for Dwelling Place. So I did do that. 40 count, like I said, One More Reproduction by Bestitch Me, 1 thread over 2 linen threads. And yeah, I got that started, maybe just the corner, but I did put a whole lot of time into something else. So anyway, then another thing I worked on was Merritt Crawford had messaged me and she said, "Hey Shellie, I saw that you showed Fiona Rutherford from the Wishing Thorn in your haul. Would you like to stitch that with me? I just started." And I said, "Well, heck yeah, I'd love to do that." And so I've got 2 needles going because it's a 2-color border. It's a teeny tiny little sampler. And it is just adorbs. I'm using the called for threads that I bought. This as a kit from the Wishing Thorn, and it's on 32 count, and you stitch it 1 thread over 1. So look at this itty bitty little border. So this is the whole right border from top to bottom. I'm getting ready to go left. So I've got my 2 needles there and my threads hanging, but yeah, this is 32 count vintage country mocha, stitching 1 thread over 1 linen thread. And let me see what the stitch count is, or the size of it. So it's 129 by 183, which will make the stitched area 4 inches wide and 5 3/4 inches tall. Teeny tiny little sampler. So I absolutely love it. Merritt, thank you so much for your invitation. I'm enjoying it. Got that whole border to the side done. So yeah, and it's 1 over 1 and I'm enjoying it thoroughly. Thank you, Jesus, for my Hello Daylight Glow Light. I used my magnifier to do that. And so yeah. So I worked on that a little, and then I had showed you, I got just the tiniest bit more of the border done on this, but I had talked to you last time about how Brenda from Brenda and the Cereal Starter had showed Scattered Seed Samplers, Anna Morgan, and she had done a conversion and done this with Jenny Thompson flower threads. And she gave me her conversion, which I told you last time. And I'm doing this on 32 count mystery linen. And I had about this much done, and I just added some more to the border. Not a whole lot, but like I said, I was working feverishly on something else. But I still got a lot of little things done, so I'm really happy with that. And that was enjoyable. But as I said, 32 count, I think it's R&R Autumn Leaves, one that they don't make anymore. I talked about that last video. And then I had 2 more things that I worked on. And if you have not heard, the Floss Boss and Cousins came up with what they're calling Heifer, H-E-I-F-R. And it is their version of Whip Go. And I had talked about before, and a little bit on 12 by 12, about how I'm such an emotional stitcher. I'll just stitch on whatever makes me happy. And I really felt like, man, I don't know if I can do that. And all my smart friends talked me into it, and I have to tell you, friends, I'm sold. It's kept me, you know, you can do a little bit of a lot of other things, but I made my schedule. I'll show you my heifer board, what I have made up for myself. And I made all my own rules. This is what it looks like. And there's 25 projects on it. And you just put what you think, you know. My very first project on slot 1 under H is Orchard Valley Quilting, and I put 7 days. There's very few on there that say work on it for 7 days, but they're mostly 5 days. And then I did give 1 square where I said organize my studio. Let me tell you something. This is the smartest thing ever, and I'm really, really thankful to Sarah W. I'm thankful to Carrie, and I'm so thankful to, to Christy for bossing me around a little bit, you know, saying, listen, it's all good, girl, it's all good. Friends are great. Friends are great because they really know what you need. And so I have embraced this thing. And so the numbers that were called for this month, let me show you. I put them up top right here, and I highlighted them. And then I have the highlighted things on my pages are when I have worked on my heifer board calls. The calls were R25 and E2. And both of these things that I had in those slots, I put work on them for 5 days. Well, I have only worked on this one 2 days, but let me tell you how I'm doing this. I get up and have 2 coffees in the morning, and I usually sit for about 2 hours because I get up at the crack of dawn when it's still dark. And I love that quiet time. I get up, have my devotions, and then I stitch. Because, you know, the older you get, the longer it takes to sit. But, buddy, once I get up, I'm running and roaring. But, you know, you can get a whole lot done. So that is my time of the day when I've been working on heifer. And it's amazing what you get done. So one of my pulls for heifer this month was the Lord's Prayer by Leila Studio. And I've worked on this 2 days. I have 3 days left on my goal, which is very doable. You think about it. It's just the 12th of the month today, and I've already done my 5 days for my other number, and I've already done 2 days. So like all my evening stitching, and if I wanted to just continue on, I really could. It's really, really a smart idea. Okay, so on the Lord's Prayer, I'm using all the called for DMCs, and I'm stitching this. I have another hanging thread. I apologize. It's 40 count Affogato by Fiber on a Whim. And yeah, I got the corner in and I started that. Doesn't look like much, but yeah, but I've got that done. And I haven't just, like, on that time frame, I really stitched more on the other one. But, like, I would pick this up and just during my time and do a few stitches of that, but I was really called to my other one. Love this, though. It's so pretty. The fabric is so pretty, and the thread colors are so pretty. It's a beautiful pattern. I probably will honestly keep on working on these two throughout the month in my morning stitch. I'm just thinking, how easy is that, you know? So anyway, I worked on that, but this is what I worked the most on. This is Though He Seemeth Sleeping by Lucy Beam, and I'm using all the called for colors on it. I showed this before, and I had just the tiniest little bit on the border done. I'll show you. I'm doing this on 40 count Northumberland. I've got the tag here. Let me, one moment, please. It's 40 count Mousy Brown by Sampler Linen Collection from Northumberland Samplery. And I'm using all of these beautiful called for colors. They're a kind of a train wreck right there. But this is what I've got done. This is a 2-color section right here in this whispery section. But I have been working on that, and I've been enjoying it, and I've had a hard time really putting it down. And so those are my 2 heifer board calls. And so I think I'm going to continue on with those for the rest of the month and keep on stitching. I really, really, really am enjoying that. Oh, I was missing 3 colors in there, and I didn't realize it. It was Black Raspberry Jam, and I replaced it with DMC 158. I was missing Brethren Blue, and I replaced it with DMC 924. And I was missing Moonlit Path, and I replaced it with DMC 648. I had no idea until I needed it. And so anyway, I replaced those with that. So those outside of that, everything is the called for colors card. Yes. Yeah. Alrighty. So those are all my whips. Okay. Well, I wanted to now talk about a few Flosstubers that I've been watching lately. There is a brand new Flosstuber, the New England Stitcher. you need to go check her out. She did a fantastic job. I saw her video come up and it said, you know, new Flosstube #1. And so, you know, we're always wanting to encourage one another. So head on over and check out the New England Stitcher. I also caught up with Sarah's Stitchy spot. Sarah had called me out because she was talking about how she was like me and she really focused on samplers and big things and, you know, and didn't like to put things away, etc., just like what I had talked about before. And she said that she was going to be embracing holiday like me too, and doing some seasonal stitching, which she didn't normally do. And boy, Sarah, wow, I was so excited. I hope that you keep it up, and I'm going to keep an eye out because I'm hoping that the two of us will connect on that with stitching those things that are a little more seasonal than what we're used to. She did a great job. I caught up with Molly and Kathy, Linen and Scraps. Oh my gosh, I love them. They are a hoot. I just absolutely love their camaraderie, and they're fun. They're fun, and their stitching is beautiful. I do want to say this. I commented, Molly, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, but Molly, I heard the bells on Christmas Day. I cannot find the one that you stitched. I want all the details. It is absolutely gorgeous. I went immediately and paused you and went to stick it in a cart someplace. Can't find that. Could you contact me, Molly? I want all the details on that. It's gorgeous. I love that blue. It's so pretty. Want to hear all about it. So, hey, drop a girl a line, okay, Molly? And then I watched Missy and Kathy, Two Needles Pulling Thread, Carrie Tiger Lily Designs. I watched Floss Boss and Cousins. I watched my friend Beth, the Red Cross Stitcher, and caught up with some Kia. And so those are all the people that I've watched since I saw you last. So, but just wanted to make sure I'm sure you want to know who I'm watching, because I want to know who you're watching. So anyway, how about right now, before I do the haul, let's me show you what will be the giveaways for this video. This week's, this video's giveaways are going to be a small sampler from Carriage House Sampling. It's Hester Van Dorn. I love it. It's a bird and it's monochromatic. And I absolutely love this. And this is going to be our first giveaway piece for this video. And if you would like Hester Van Dorn, in the comments below, please use the word Hester. As well, I have an absolutely adorable little kit from the Shepherd's Bush. And it's a little zipper pouch. And it's called the Busy Bee Bag. And you get the little pouch and everything that you need. It's a full kit to be able to stitch the Busy Bee pouch. And if you would like this to be yours, use the word bee in the comments below. And then from With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais, if you the next item is Where Liberty Dwells. Where Liberty Dwells. And if you would like this chart, then please use the word Liberty below in your comments. And those are our giveaways for this video. Now, I want to show you my haul, but I did have one item that was not stitching related, but a lot of people commented and have asked me a lot of questions. And so I wanted to show you where I'm at in my afghan that I have been crocheting on. I added one more square to the bottom row, and then as well I have got the second row going. So I took it to 8 squares across, because I think when I put the border on it that I will really, let me back up a little bit. So I got part of the second row done and added one more square to the first row, and then I'll show you, let me show it to you up close. Now I had a lot of questions. Okay, so I'm going to answer it here. I am using a, okay, this is my crochet hook bag. I'm just going to take it out so that you'll see it. I have every kind of hook in the world. My favorite hooks are Susan Bates Comfort Grips. And I'm using an H hook, because I had a lot of people ask me questions. They wanted to know my pattern, all the above. They want to know my hooks. This is my favorite hook, the Comfort Grip. This is a straight line hook. It helps you. I have these other hooks in here that they're my second favorite, and they are from Clover, and they're the Amore hooks. But the difference is you get a very uniform. These are tapered and these are not. A Susan Bates gives you a very uniform stitch. So, but sometimes these tapered ones, depending on if you're like really, you know, sometimes if you're not in the best of moods and you're crocheting, you might crochet really tight. But so the Susan Bates, this nice straight line hook gives you a really uniform stitch. And these, over here, I've got some of the most expensive hooks. I can't even believe I've paid for them. I've got a wood set, and I've got this enameled set over here. I just paid an absolute fortune for them. And let me tell you something, this little $2-3 Susan Bates, I do get the Comfort Grip one, and I pick them up at Joann's. And I think these are like $2.50 or $3.50. Listen, don't spend the money. Just get a Susan Bates. Just FYI from a friend. Okay, so you wanted to know that. This blanket I am making with just acrylic yarn. I'm not using fancy foofy yarn for this because it's going to get washed a bunch. It's going to be on my couch. I'm just using, I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. You know, every other week the yarn's 40%, 30 or 40% off. So I had somebody ask me that, and then what colors. Okay, so my cream color is, it's just called, it's 20, number 20, and it's ivory. Yeah, you know, it's just their ivory. The red is 40, and it's just called red. Now, it was funny, I had been out and I was down at Hobby Lobby and I only had one, and I thought, I better get a second one. And I was standing there and I couldn't decide, was it red or was it cranberry? I was so excited my husband was home because I called him and I'm like, please go pull my bag out. So it's just number 40 red. And then the green that I'm using, now this is Premier Yarn, and I ordered it off of the Premier Yarn website. It's their Everyday Anti-Pill. This is what it looks like. It's very inexpensive. You can buy some Premier yarns over at Joann's, and I'm not sure if this is there, but this is the Everyday Anti-Pill, and the colorway, let me see. It is Noel. It's Christmas green, Noel Vert, Christmas green. And so I had 2 of these, and listen, the most I'm going to do is just right here. And so 2, that's enough for the whole thing. The red's going in between each of the squares, and then I will do I'll do 1 row border, but then I'm going to mellow it down. All of the outer border is going to be in the ivory. I want it to look pretty and elegant and fancy, and I want that to tone it down a little bit, and it'll make that red border pop on the middle, but it'll not make it so big. So anyway, those are my yarns because I had been asked. That is my hook. And then I was asked what was my pattern. Listen, this is just a plain old granny square. That's it. And I'll show you how I do this. Now here's one of my granny squares, okay? Just a plain old granny square. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds, okay? But here's what I do. I make a whole big pile of red. Then I go around all of that pile with green. I have a whole pile of them right here. So I haven't cut the tails. I don't cut the tails to the bitter end. I do cut the tails per block. So once I get all the white on, then I will put all my tails in and trim it so they're all ready for me then to add one by one. Now I don't make a big long row. I did the first row, I made a big long row, but if you notice this, I add them one by one because I'm doing this very, very simple chain two, one single crochet every 2 stitch on the edge, and then in the corner it's a single crochet, 4 chain stitches, and then single crochet again in the corner. But as I'm adding it, I start like right here and I go along the edge and I do the inside first when I add them in. Anyhow, this is just a plain Jane old granny square, and there's 10 million crochet tutorials on how to do that. It's just a plain Jane. Like I said, I do the center in red, cut my yarn, do my green. So see, I have all my colors right here. So what I do is I do a big pile of them, and then when I get the pile done, then I connect them on. And so right now I've got all these, and when I get all their white on them, then I'll start hooking them onto the blanket. So that way, like when I sit and watch TV tonight, I'll probably, because I can't put my head down too much. I've done a lot today. My neck aches a little bit. So anyway, I'll probably just sit with my ivory and do my 3 rounds of ivory around a bunch of these. I can knock these out in no time. And so anyway, so that, I love that y'all asked about that and you're so excited about that. I know there's several of you out there who have been encouraged. The edging that I'm doing, I did have some people ask me how I did that, and I have since, if you want to know that, send me an email and I will send you a link to how to do that. I got it online, and it's very super simple. It's super easy, and so, but it really makes a pretty edge on there and a join for your blocks. It's so easy to join. The only tricky part is when you get the 4 inner corners, but once you do it once, you're fine. But anyway, so thanks for all your interest in that. I hope I answered your questions for all of you all. Okay, so now let's move to my haul. I've got my rolly basket over here. Okay, I have some items. I had watched a Flosstuber, and for the life of me, I swear to you, I thought I wrote it down. You know what? Maybe 1 second, please. While I'm talking, I'm going to look on my phone on Flosstube. Oh my goodness, I thought I wrote this down, and it's kind of important. I had watched this Flosstube, and it was the first time I had ever watched this lady. And she is from another country. And she was in France, and funny enough, Brenda, in the cereal starter, she was in France at the same time. And I thought that was interesting. And she had gone to a cross stitch shop in I think it was in Paris, and she showed some, okay, Heritage Stitching, that's her name. She's from the, oops, sorry about that. She's from the Ukraine, and her name is Heritage Stitching. I'm so glad that I had my telephone sitting here so I could look that up. She's a Flosstuber. Check her out. She has really pretty stitching. Well, she had gone to a cross stitch shop in Paris, and the name of it is Lebanon Road. They sent me a catalog when I ordered from them, and it was a beautiful shop. And they had tons and tons of kits, and it was I loved watching it. And as she was showing some things, I was like, oh, I would love to have that. And so I ordered 3 things from the shop, and they came extraordinarily quick. I ordered this red squirrel bookmark kit. And I tell you, I'm probably not going to stitch this bookmark. I'll probably save the bookmark and put something else on it. I wanted the pattern for that squirrel, and I want to independently stitch that squirrel. So yeah, I bought the kit for the squirrel, so that's okay. It's my party. I can stitch how I want to. So anyway, I did that. I bought that. And then this was another pattern of theirs, and it was poppies. And I love poppies. I love growing them in my garden in the summer. And you get the full kit. It was they were very reasonably priced. If you look at their shop online on and you Google it, you can see it all in English. And so, you know, because you can get it to translate for you. And so I just absolutely loved that. And it's a kit. It came with everything. And I just think that that would be a beautiful stitch with those beautiful poppies. But the thing that I fell in love with, that really, I stopped the video. It took me 15 times to stop that video just right so that I could see the front of the pattern. She held this pattern up, and there's butterfly and a squirrel and a butterfly. Oh my gosh, an owl and a snail and birds. And I just thought, what a beautiful monochromatic sampler. And so I ordered it, and look, it came with everything. It came with the linen, all the thread. And I mean, I ordered it, and it got here from France, and I know, like a week. And so that came from Lebanon Road. I'm going to hold that really close so that you can see it. That's how the name is spelled. In their shop, they've got very pretty things. But if you get onto Heritage Stitcher's Instagram, or not Instagram, her YouTube channel, you'll be able to see her little visit to the little French shop. And I was just like, that was so exciting. She took us shopping with her, and I shopped with her. Of course I did. Okay, so since the last time I saw you, I got from the Fat Quarter shop, I got my Classic Colorworks Floss Fix and my Weeks Dye Works Floss Frenzy. Let's open them up, shall we? The Floss Frenzy for this last month, December, you got Cocoa, Cognac, Collards, Conch, Concord, and Copper. And then for the Classic Colorworks Floss Fix, oh, these are so springy. You got Cottage Daisies, Cottage Garden, Country Lane, Crab Cakes, Creamy Peach, and Creeping Jenny. And so I got, is this not the best way to build your stash? You know, it was so wonderful. For one of my kit ups, and I was missing a thread. I think it was Fathom from Weeks for my Teresa Kogut dwelling place. And I thought, you know, I swear, I think, and I ran, and guess what? There it was. And I was very, very pleased about that. So building your thread stash is a wonderful thing. And Fat Quarter Shop makes that an easy, easy thing to do. Today is Primrose Cottage's Free Pattern Friday. And for their quilt, it's Love You More. And they have quilt kits for this, but this is their free pattern for Free Pattern Friday. Came out today. Love that. Don't you just love how sweet they are giving us free stuff? And so, and they have the kits if you'd like to purchase the kits there too. Speaking of kits, I ordered some kits from my friend Chantel from Chantel 141 Designs. I'm going to take this out because you get, I am telling you, this is the full kit, buddy. Down to the, there's wax for my board. So I got the board, and then the waxes for the board. And then you get your thread, your finishing trim, And this is for, she has your Make Your Mark series, and this is Susanna Emerson, 1878. And you can buy a full kit with everything you need, every last little thing. And so I just think these, so I have everything to finish it, to color my wood, everything. So that was really great. Love that. And I love, Chantal has tremendous service. It's got the linen, everything. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I bought that, and then I had got on there to buy this other one, and I bought this. This one is done with Jenny Thompson flower threads. So that's, I had got on there to buy this, and you get your board. She sent the colors to do your board, the Jenny Thompson flower threads. And then this chart is Rosa W. Dawson, 1924. And like I said, there's all the colors. So you're all good to go when you buy these kits. Everything from start to literally finish. And I think that when I got it, she sent me a little note and said, "Thanks for your patience, Shellie." And I think she might, it was during the holiday season, so I didn't realize I was patiently waiting. And what a good friend. She sent me a little sweet love note that said, Shellie, thanks so much for being patient. Sent me some Tootsie Rolls. Sent me this is a little quarter gauge? No, maybe not. And then sent me some wood products. You could do a mounting board and then a thread board. Thanks, Chantal. That was so sweet of you. I appreciate you so much. So that was something I got. I think I'm really proud of myself. This haul over here, I didn't do too bad considering I'm usually a shopaholic. So somebody stand up and give me an applause. I did really good. Then I got my Fanciful Flamingo box, and I know a lot of you have got them. This is from Alicia, the Fanciful Flamingo. This is her favorite things, and beautifully curated inside. And what's inside? Well, let's see what's inside. I'll show you. I tried to leave it, I pulled everything out, but I wanted you to see it the same way I saw it. So I was trying to keep it pretty untouched. So this is the pattern from Emily Call. It's called Bundle Up. You get your threads. She sent some Stitchers lotion, some sweet treats, a cute little scissor fob, and it is adorable, adorable. Look at this little snowman. So you get your little scissor fob. Then this is a project bag tag, a sticker with little mittens, some finishing fabric, some little frosty finishes, and then this is a little acrylic thread board. Yeah. So isn't that wonderful? So fun. It's so fun to get. I love things. See, I think my project library is so big over there because those aren't all whips. I know that there's 240 something over there. I love everything kitted up. When it's completely kitted up, I can step up here, and as I so choose, I don't have to mill around. And so if it's screaming my name, oh, I just love it when it's all kitted up. So yeah, so I love, like you notice, all kitted up, everything I need. I love that. I love the boxes. And so then I did buy two more things. There is a YouTuber, her name is Bernadette Banner, and she is, she sews garments, by hand with a needle and thread and teaches wonderful things. She also has, she has a Wilcox and Gibbs, like my little itty bitty that I showed you last video. And she has a treadle machine. She loves the old fashioned ways. I think Bernadette probably could be one of my children because I think she's in her 30s, but she's highly, highly, highly talented. She's amazing, and she's written a book called Make, Sew, and Mend: Traditional Techniques to Sustainably Maintain and Refashion Your Clothes. And this is Bernadette right here, hand sewing on there. She did a garment, and she reproduced and handmade a dress that was identical to Mary Poppins' dress. It was amazing. She has done period correct clothing. She kind of dresses that way. She's gone to England. She did a thing where she got on a train and they were all dressed. So neat. And we all know I love all these slow skills and things. And I thought, you know, anybody can learn new tricks. And I just have watched this sweet young lady since she started her YouTube, and she's just really a talented young girl, and I wanted her book. I just, you know, if that mama's got to be proud. She's really talented, super talented. Then Lane Magazine put out a book called 52 Weeks of Socks, and it's 52 different sock patterns. Let me see if I can't, you know, so like, without showing you patterns there, but there's these are called elf slippers. So, but I love making socks. You know the reason why I like knitting socks? Because you know you need them. You need them, and you can wear socks all year long, and you can knit them pretty quickly too. And so they're easy and a small project to go with you. And so, yeah, I love this. I never do the heels the way they call for. I only do my own heel, the one that I taught Carrie. And so, but yeah, I thought that was kind of really cool. So I wouldn't put that in my knitting bag. I would do a working copy. So, but anyway, but there's 52 patterns for 52 different pairs of socks. So I thought that's cool. So, but that is all of my haul. So I have showed you my whips. I've showed you my finishes. I showed you my framed pieces, talked about who I've watched and all the things and what I've been up to. And but the only thing I haven't talked to you about is what my plans are for the year. And so, yeah, I think that is, that has been such a fun thing that I have been thinking about for quite some time. You know, you hear a lot of people who say, oh, this is my word for the year and things like that. You know, I as a person, I've never had a word of the year. I've never been so inclined. It's not that I don't think it's awesome. It's never hit me. And so, back in the summertime, the project that I showed you that I started on 12 by 12, Keep Kind Thoughts. That was one of the first things, and it just seemed like everywhere I went, and when I was seeing patterns, if I have so many patterns, and even things that were donated to me in baby group. I got a bunch of stuff for baby group, for supplies for the group, and somebody said, oh, you know, we heard you were a cross stitcher, Shellie, so they threw in these containers filled with DMC, and you know what the pattern? One single pattern, and it was on kindness. And I thought, I'm going to take notice of that. The Lord puts things in our way sometimes, you know? And I thought, this just keeps inundating itself. I just keep seeing and keep collecting and taking notes. So I was cramming patterns into the Carry Keeper that I showed you for a long, long time. And I had realized, you know what? I think I have a word for the year. And I think in the times that we live, and just in any time in general, you know, my grandmother used to say all the time, you know, things that, you know, you can't beat a kind word. you know, and things like that. And so I just really feel like I am going to spend 2024 practicing radical kindness. Now, how am I going to do that? Well, I want to stitch about kindness, so there's a lot of things in my repertoire that I am going to stitch that talk about. Sorry about that camera. It records for about 20 minutes and then it turns itself off. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I am going to stitch about kindness, not every single project, but I do have a large pile of things and they just screamed at me. And so I am going to stitch a lot of things. You're going to see the word kindness in my stitching this year, but I'm going to practice radical kindness. And you know, I don't know exactly what that looks like. You know, I know this, that I want to be radically kind in the things that I do, in the things that I say, and the way that I think, which will then promote the way that I do things and the way that I say things. I think that that you can't go wrong with that. Whether it's, I do know that there's some things I'm going to, like when we start going through the project library, I'm going to be giving some things away. Full project bags with full kits, you know, maybe that I've outgrown, or maybe I just feel so inclined to be kind and give that to somebody. Some things that I've stitched on that I'm just not going to finish, you know, are in there. I have some scroll rods and things that I want to put into the hands of other people that I think that would really like to have it, you know, things like that. But that's not the whole entirety of it. I want to practice radical kindness. Let's just say I'm at the grocery store. How many times have you been in the grocery store line and there be somebody in front of you or behind you and they're in the little cart and they're trying to reach their items? Hey, I know that every time I see that, I want to unload somebody's basket for them, help them. You know, I'm going to find crazy ways to just shed some beautiful kindness into the world. I think that you just can't go wrong, and I think that it will be a wonderful year. I think that intentionally being kind will really, I think it'll do as much for me as it will do for others. And so that's one of my plans. I'm going to practice that heifer board. I am so excited about it. I really feel like it's given me some structure a little bit, you know, where it's not so confining that I don't feel like I can stitch what I want, but it, you know, I think it's really a good thing. Thank you, Christy and Callie, and thank you, Christy, and all my friends who encouraged me in the Jingle Ball room, because I have really embraced this, and y'all were right, and I was crazier than a bed bug. So as well, while we're talking about that, I have those 2 whips of my 25 pieces that are on my heifer board. But right over here, I have a basket and I have a sign on it and it says heifer, because those are all the projects that are on my heifer board. I wanted them to be able to be in one spot. And so don't you think that maybe we ought to do a video where we go through the heifer basket? So we'll do, I thought that would be something that I think I should do that first before I do the behind the couch basket, because see, that thing, that's a gonna do it for sure. Every bit of those things are going to be touched as they're called. And so I think we'll do a video and show that. I'll do a video and show you behind the couch basket. I was laughing the other day when we were all out to lunch, because I said, yeah, there's a next to the recliner basket too. Because, you know, my recliner out here in my stitchy spot, I really shouldn't have that, but I do. And so anyway, so maybe I'll show those together, the behind the couch and the next to the chair box. But then we will start going through the project library. I'm tidying up one little section of it. It's divided by designers, but I couldn't help myself. There were things that are oh my gosh, those really, 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 I want to do that. I want to do that. You know, you start going through it, and I love visiting. It's like visiting friends, going through the project library. But there were some friends that I wanted to visit sooner than others. So I took one cube, and those are things that are really on the top of my list to roll into baskets. Does that, to the behind the couch basket. So so I did do a cube that way. So we'll do that this year. And of course, like I said, I'm so sorry I haven't done the, I told you I was, on last video I was going to do the lollipop video, but this hurt situation, I'm going to do that too. So those are some of the things that I'm going to do. I do have, in May, I am going to be going to the Queen City Sampler Guild's retreat, which has got Nicola Parkman. As well, in June, I will be going to StitchCon Weekend A. But the StitchCon Weekend B people, yeah, I've got big lunches. I'm local, and there's a bunch of my friends, and you just trust me, those cousins and a whole handful of other people, I'm heading over to Sharonville Weekend B. Will I come into the convention center? No, but I'm going to have lunch with a bunch of my friends, maybe on multiple days. So, because, gosh, when they live so far away, of course I'm going to head over there. And so, and then in the fall, I will be going to my Life as a Sampler retreat at Hobby House in New York. And then I will do Jingle Ball again. I don't think there'll ever be a time that I don't do Jingle Ball. Last year, I didn't get some things. I didn't understand the rooms. And this year, I think all the kinks were figured out. And I think on my end, the kinks were figured out. And I loved it. And it was so much fun. And so those are some of the retreats that I'm going to be doing and going to. So those are my 2024 plans. The rest are pretty fluid. You know, I keep you updated here and on Instagram and Facebook. I did have a few questions that I wanted to address here. When I was on 12 by 12, I was discussing, Key and I were talking back and forth, and I was talking about going to the Tiara Stitch. Tiara Stitch is a local group here in the Cincinnati area. If you are in driving distance, there are 7 scheduled meetups for the year 2024. The Tiaras will meet. We meet in Montgomery, Ohio, which is right outside of Cincinnati, and we meet at Kramer's Sew and Back. They have an educational room that's fully loaded with kitchen and all kind of stuff. You can bring your lunch. There's a wonderful ice cream shop right next door, and it's from 10 to 4. And I had talked about Tiara Stitch, and people asked a lot of questions, and so and I had seen some in the comments, but I had a lot of people that instant messaged me, and so I wanted to say, if you are in driving distance and want to come spend the day at a Tiara Stitch, there are 7 times in the next year in 2024 that we meet, and you can get on the email list for that. You don't have to be a member or pay any dues or anything like that, but if you are interested in that, email me and I will pass your information on to our coordinator, Sonia Kane. She puts out an email and she will get something to you so that you see the dates. When you do come, we all do pay $5 so that we cover the cost of the room. But other than that, it's a wonderful afternoon and you get to meet some great ladies. So if you're in driving distance and you're interested in meeting with some people, maybe you don't have a stitch group, Tiara's is something that's available in this area. As well, some people were asking about the Queen City Sampler Guild. Let me answer a few questions that I have been asked since I was on there. You can live any place on the planet and you can be a member of the Queen City Sampler Guild. You pay your yearly dues. And the educational program is fantastic. There are Zoom educational things. You know, we've had lectures and things like that that have been by Zoom. One of my heifer projects, funny enough, was a Queenstown sampler, and I had it right here in my stash, but they had done in June, I've talked about this before, it was a whole talk about Baltimore eyeglass samplers. And I had this chart and had no idea. I didn't read the back. I bought it because it was beautiful. I bought it for the picture. But on the gate, the front of the gate, it looks like little pairs of eyeglasses make up the gate. And so apparently Baltimore, well, of course, we learned all about them in our Zoom lecture about them, and it was so wonderful. And those are some of the things that are offered through the Guild. You can be a member in any place in the world. We do have local events where you can come. And we have the Cincinnati Art Museum, which is phenomenal, and they've done things there. We've gone to a private museum at the Sisters of Mount Notre Dame, and they showed their educational program back in the 1800s, and they had examples, girls' whole works through their schooling. It was phenomenal. And so in this year, one of the brand new things that our president has instituted is they are having Zoom stitch-ins, and it's the second Tuesday of every month. The schedule just came out, but you can go to the Queen City Sampler Guild online, go to their website, and I will put a link to the website in my description box, and you can be a part of it, and you can live far away and still be a part of it. And this year, like I said, we are having a retreat, and it is with Nicola Parkman, and how wonderful. She'll be right here in our area. It was comparable in price to other retreats that are similar, and I don't know, there were some spots left for the retreat just shortly ago. I don't know if there are still, but you can inquire. You can send an email and check into that. But if you go to the website, you can join the Guild and be a part of it. It's a wonderful community. If you're in the area or somewhere in driving distance, they have morning stitch-ins in Madeira, and they also have evening stitch-ins. They've just instituted brand new that they're going to do once a month Zoom stitch-ins. And I have to honestly say, our board and our president have been doing such a phenomenal job. I've been a member of the Guild for a while. I think I joined in 2014, 2015, when I very first joined. And I have to honestly tell you that our board is excellent. And you get a newsletter every other month. Like I said, I was asked to contribute an article, and I've actually been asked to contribute to the next newsletter and article. So I'm working on that, and I'm enjoying doing that because I'm a little nerd, you know, so I enjoy studying things, and so I'm excited about that. So for all of those who asked about that, yes, you can join our Guild. And you can't go wrong. Even if you live far away, you can still stitch with your Guild by Zoom. You can be part of the educational program. And like I said, we have a retreat this year with Nicola Parkman. So I just wanted to answer those questions. If you have any more specifics, you can email me at AntiqueNeedleworkers@gmail.com, and I will be glad to help you answer your questions. But like I said, if you want to know about tiaras, if you want to be put on the email list for tiaras, send me your information to AntiqueNeedleworkers@gmail.com, and I will send that over to our coordinator, Sonia Kane. And if you'd like to find out any more about Queen City Sampler Guild, look in the description box and find the link, and link on over there and check out the website. You just can't go wrong. And I just would encourage the educational programs. I really love that. I love the camaraderie, and just, you know, there's always someone to learn from. And so I really enjoy our guild. So I hope I answered your questions. And so that kind of wraps it all up, friends, for this first video of the new year. And yes, and again, this is the 1-year anniversary for Antique Needleworkers. Thank you so much for coming time and time again and watching and encouraging me along my journey. And I thank you for being my stitchy friend. If you wanted to enter for any of the giveaways for this video, do remember to use the keywords. Please like and subscribe. You have to like and subscribe to be part of the giveaways. And anyway, like and subscribe anyway. I love having new friends. And but for now, I think that that's going to be all for today. But I can't wait to see you again. And until we do meet again, I wish you many happy stitches. Bye-bye now, my friends.